It's just a few days after Christmas that I'm taping this, and I just wanted to tell the story. Finally, get around to telling the story of the incredible shrinking Christmas tree when I was a kid. Um, when I was a kid, when I was probably about 4 years old, my mother started getting into Jehovah's Witnesses, and as probably a lot of you know, Jehovah's Witnesses don't do Christmas. And within probably a year or two, like probably around the age of 6 or something like that, she stopped, just kind of backed off from Christmas, and celebrating Christmas and stuff. But my dad was into it still. And he always wanted to make sure. This says a lot about my dad. It's like he, cared about us a lot, and he wanted us to have Christmas. And what happened is, like, when I was a little kid, my mother would do before she stopped doing Christmas. She, we always had a nice, good sized Christmas tree and all decorated and everything. It was great. It's like really pretty and everything. And it was always in the corner of the living room. And so when she stopped, doing it, my dad was still putting up a tree, and the funny thing is over the years, it's like the first year it had less ornaments on it. He didn't spend as much time, because he was working at Safeway and everything. So it's like, and then over time, it's like there was less ornaments, and then the next year, the tree got a little smaller, and maybe there's less ornaments on it, and it's like, and then there was like, it's then the next year after that, it was a little smaller, got to where there was basically no ornaments or very few on it, and it got smaller and smaller over the next several years, 5, 6 years, until maybe about 5 years, 6 years later, there was no Christmas tree. There was no Christmas tree. However, that sheet that you put around the bottom of the Christmas tree, it was he still had it there, but there was no tree. And so the presents were on this sheet thing, because originally there was a Christmas tree with ornaments, and then the sheet around the Christmas tree with the presents on it. And then it got to when it got to the point where there was no Christmas tree, it's like there was still the sheet there with the presents, because he always wanted to make sure we had presents. And one of the great things about my aunt Joyce and her husband David, they felt bad for us that we weren't getting Christmas presents from my mother, so they always made sure we got Christmas presents. And my grandmother too, my grandmother Dorothy, she always made sure that we got Christmas presents too. And my dad hung in there for the longest time, and he kept making sure we get Christmas presents. And we didn't care that much about the tree. It's like we loved the Christmas presents, and we got to still celebrate Christmas, and that's what really mattered. And I still think about that great fond memory of what I call the incredible shrinking Christmas tree.